provide money for wall border security if we could deal with the DACA population and TPS people. And hopefully we can get some serious discussions started maybe as soon as next week.
As soon as next week, and you heard Senator Lindsey Graham, we pulled a little bit of what he was speaking about when he came to the microphones there in front of the White House about 30 minutes ago, and he spent a good amount of time talking to reporters there. One of the questions here, as I bring in Victoria DeFrancesco again, was, okay, well, where are the Democrats in this conversation? And as we know, that's the difficulty so far in hammering out something that might be passable, Victoria, and the very issue of TPS and DACA, good ideas. It seems like that's what the left might want. And then there's a question of whether it is the right solution.
So with the Democratic Party, like with the Republican Party, we don't see one homogeneous unit. We have factions within the Democratic Party, and where maybe your Chuck Schumers and your more moderates will say, okay, well, let's sit down and deal. Other factions are going to say, no way. I'm thinking of, say, Alexandria
The newly elected members, potentially?
Exactly, who said, let's just abolish ICE. So I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of work there. And the other piece, Richard, that I didn't hear Lindsey Graham talk about, and is really one of the biggest issues of the border crisis we face today, is what about asylum seekers? So the DACA recipients, that's a huge deal for us, TPS, the border wall. But we also have another big issue, which is the thousands of people that we have congregating on our border trying to seek asylum, and the problems with the bottlenecking there, and what do we do with the detention centers and the overflow, and now we have the death of children in these detention centers. So it's going to be difficult to talk about immigration if we don't also include the issue of asylum, and I think that's going to be something Democrats are going to want to see on the table.
Rochelle, when we're looking at the messaging coming out of Senator Graham, at least at this moment, right, just in the last 30 minutes, it appears that the energy is positive. They want to do something, at least he and President Trump, right? That's at least what he's communicating. From what was said, though, and we just listened to Victoria, is there enough there, or a little bit there that the Democrats might pull on to and like?
I do think that they will go for the Bridge Act, because I think that is something that Democrats have been pushing for a very long time when it comes to our DACA recipients. But I just feel that what is the wall? I mean, what are they really fighting for? When I hear Lindsey Graham talk about slash, what are we actually going to be getting? And I don't think that that's been very clear. And I think that is a messaging problem coming from the communications department within the White House, because they are not clear on what exactly they want. I think this whole build a wall, that's a campaign slogan that's not really reality. And so I'm not sure if they really need to keep calling this a wall. And I think they need to start being honest with the American people about what is it, because it hasn't been vetted, right, which is why there's so much confusion. Well,
there's a lot of confusion here. Rick Tyler, we go from the left to the right here. It sounds like they're still thinking this through. A lot of slashes there, right? Security versus barrier versus wall versus fence. And we heard it all there. Lindsey Graham being very clear to explain that they're not sure yet.
Well, the president put himself in a cul-de-sac because he talked about Mexico paying for the wall, and I know every viewer has heard that a million times. Right. But I mean, the Democrats' negotiating position starts with, when Mexico pays for the wall, we'll sign a budget. And of course, that's not going to happen. The president is asking the American taxpayer to pay for the wall that he said that Mexico would pay for. But then we don't even know how much wall. And then you have to get into the issues of eminent domain. You have to get into the issues of environmental studies. You just don't go and build a wall. I mean, it would be very, very complicated. There's less than 700 miles of wall in a nearly 2,000-mile border. Yeah. So there's about 1,200. I get my math right, about 1,200 miles of where there's no physical barrier. Yeah. So just to go out and say you're going to build a wall, it's just all to fulfill really a campaign rhetorical promise.
And it's not easy, as all four of us know, because we've seen the pictures. This is not a flat, straight line. There's hills, and you got to move earth and stuff like that. Hey, I want to go to our legal brain here, Danny. The Bridge Act. What is it? How might it work? This is only part of what Lindsey Graham brought up.
Yeah, the Bridge Act is a bill that provides provisional protected presence. And in the sense that it does not actually itself provide a path to citizenship. But the reason Republicans may be able to sell it is that unlike DACA, it will be a legislative act. DACA was an executive order by the Obama administration. And for that reason, all executive orders are only as strong as the next president in line who can do whatever he or she wants with them. Right. He can pull out the bottom of them like a one big Jenga tower, and it can be gone. Poof, crumble. So in this sense, if this bill passes and becomes a law, then it cannot be erased by the president on a whim. And that alone might have some appeal even to Democrats and Republicans alike.
Really good point made there.